Hello viewers, once again welcome to your very own channel, The Basics of Marketing. As you know, we share on this channel the basic concepts of marketing like definitions and concepts, etc. So without wasting your time any further, let's start.
Today I'll try and explain the concept of marketing research. In addition to marketing intelligence, information about general consumer, competitor, and marketplace happenings, marketeers often need formal studies that provide customer and market insights for specific marketing situations and decisions. For example, Google wants to know how web searchers will react to a proposed redesign of its site, or Samsung wants to know how many and what kinds of people will buy its next generation ultra-thin televisions. In such situations, marketing intelligence will not provide the detailed information needed. Managers will need marketing research. Marketing research is the systematic design, collection, analysis, and reporting of data relevant to a specific marketing situation facing an organization. Companies use marketing research in a wide variety of situations. For example, marketing research gives marketeers insights into customer motivations, purchase behavior, and satisfaction. It can help them to assess market potential and market share, or measure the effectiveness of pricing, product, distribution, and promotion activities. Some large companies have their own research departments that work with marketing managers on marketing research projects. This is how P&G, GE, and many other corporate giants handle marketing research. In addition, these companies, like their smaller counterparts, frequently hire outside research specialists to consult with management on specific marketing problems and conduct marketing research studies. Sometimes, firms simply purchase data collected by outside firms to aid in their decision-making. The marketing research process has 4 steps. Number 1, defining the problem and research objectives. Number 2, developing the research plan. Number 3, implementing the research plan. And number 4 is interpreting and reporting the findings. Defining the problem and research objectives. Marketing managers and researchers must work closely together to define the problem and agree on research objectives. The manager best understands the decisions for which information is needed. The researcher best understands marketing research and how to obtain the information. Defining the problem and research objectives is often the hardest step in the research process. The managers may know that something is wrong without knowing the specific causes. After the problem has been defined carefully, the manager and the researcher must set the research objectives. A marketing research project might have one of 3 types of objectives. The objective of exploratory research is to gather preliminary information that will help define the problem and suggest hypotheses. The objective of descriptive research is to describe things such as the market potential for a product or the demographics and attitude of consumers who buy the product. The objective of causal research is to test hypotheses about cause and effect relationships. For example, would a 10% decrease in tuition at a private college result in an enrollment increase sufficient to offset the reduced tuition? Managers often start with exploratory research and later follow with descriptive or causal research. The statement of the problem and research objectives guides the entire research process. The manager and the researcher should put the statement in writing to be certain that they agree on the purpose and expected results of the research. Developing the research plan. Once the research problem and objectives have been defined, researchers must determine the exact information needed, develop a plan for gathering it efficiently, and present the plan to management. The research plan outlines sources of existing data and spells out the specific research approaches, contact methods, sampling plans, and instruments that researchers will use to gather new data. Research objectives must be translated into specific information needs. The research plan should be presented in a written proposal. A written proposal is especially important when the research project is large and complex or when an outside firm carries it out. The proposal should cover the management problems addressed, the research objectives, the information to be obtained, and how the results will help management decision making. The proposal also should include estimated research costs to meet the manager's information needs. The research plan can call for gathering secondary data, primary data, or both. Secondary data consists of information that already exists somewhere, having been collected for another purpose. Primary data consists of information collected for the specific purpose at hand. Gathering secondary data. Researchers usually start by gathering secondary data. The company's internal database provides a good starting point. However, the company can also tap into a wide assortment of external information sources, including commercial data, services, and government sources. Companies can buy secondary data reports from outside suppliers. Using commercial online databases, marketing researchers can conduct their own searches of secondary data sources. Internet search engines can be a big help in locating relevant secondary information sources. However, they can also be very frustrating and inefficient. Well-designed web searches can be a good starting point to any marketing research project. Secondary data can usually be obtained more quickly and at a lower cost than primary data. Also, secondary sources can sometimes provide data an individual company cannot collect on its own. Information that either is not directly available or would be too expensive to collect. Secondary data can also present problems. The needed information may not exist. Researchers can rarely obtain all the data they need from secondary sources. Even when data can be found, the information might not be very usable. The researchers must evaluate secondary information carefully to make certain it is relevant, that fits research project needs, accurate, reliably collected and reported, current, up-to-date enough for current decisions, and impartial, objectively collected and reported. Primary data collection. Secondary data provide a good starting point for research and often help to define research problems and objectives. In most cases, however, the company must also collect primary data. Just as researchers must carefully evaluate the quality of secondary information, they also must take great care when collecting primary data. The need to make sure that it will be relevant, accurate, current, and unbiased. Designing a plan for primary data collection calls for a number of decisions on research approaches, contact methods, the sampling plan, and research instruments. Research approaches. Research approaches for gathering primary data include observation, surveys, and experiments. We discuss each one in turn. Observational research. Observational research involves gathering primary data by observing relevant people, actions, and situations. Researchers often observe consumer behavior to glean customer insights they can't obtain by simply asking customers questions. For instance, Gillette observes men and women shaving and uses the insights to design new razors and shaving products. Marketeers not only observe what consumers do, but also observe what consumers are saying. As discussed earlier, marketeers now routinely listen in on consumer conversations on blogs, social networks, and websites. Observing such naturally occurring feedback can provide inputs that simply can't be gained through more structured and formal research approaches. Observational research can obtain information that people are unwilling or unable to provide. In contrast, some things simply cannot be observed, such as feelings, attitudes, motives, or private behavior. Long-term or infrequent behavior is also difficult to observe. Finally, observations can be very difficult to interpret. Because of these limitations, researchers often use observation along with other data collection methods. A wide range of companies now use ethnographic research. Ethnographic research involves sending observers to watch and interact with consumers in their natural environments. The observers might be trained anthropologists, psychologists, or company researchers and managers. Beyond conducting ethnographic research in physical consumer environments, many companies now routinely conduct webnography research, observing consumers in a natural context on the internet. Observing people as they interact online can provide useful insights into both online and offline buying motives and behavior. Observational and ethnographic research often yields the kinds of details that just don't emerge from traditional research questionnaires or focus groups. Whereas traditional quantitative research approaches seek to test known hypotheses and obtain answers to well-defined product or strategy questions, observational research can generate fresh customer and market insights. The beauty of ethnography, says a research expert, is that it allows companies to zero in on their customers' unarticulated desires, agrees another researcher. Classic market research doesn't go far enough. It can't grasp what people can't imagine or articulate. Think of the Henry Ford quote. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Survey research. Survey research, the most widely used method for primary data collection, is the approach best suited for gathering descriptive information. A company that wants to know about people's knowledge, attitudes, preferences, or buying behavior can often find out by asking them directly. The major advantage of survey research is its flexibility. It can be used to obtain many different kinds of information in many different situations. Surveys addressing almost any marketing question or decision can be conducted by phone or mail, in person, or on the web. However, survey research also presents some problems. Sometimes people are unable to answer survey questions because they cannot remember or have never thought about what they do and why. People may be unwilling to respond to unknown interviewers or about things they consider private. Respondents may answer survey questions even when they do not know the answer, just to appear smarter or more informed. Or they may try to help the interviewer by giving pleasing answers. Finally, busy people may not take the time, or they might resent the intrusion into their privacy. Experimental research. Whereas observation is best suited for exploratory research and surveys for descriptive research, experimental research is best suited for gathering casual information. Experiments involve selecting matched groups of subjects, giving them different treatments, controlling unrelated factors, and checking for differences in group responses. Thus, experimental research tries to explain cause and effect relationships. For example, before adding a new sandwich to its menu, McDonald's might use experiments to test the effects on sales of two different prices it might charge. It could introduce the new sandwich at one price in one city and at another price in another city. If the cities are similar and if all other marketing efforts for the sandwich are the same, the differences in sales in two cities could be related to the price charged. Contact methods. Information can be collected by mail, telephone, personal interview, or online. Mail, telephone, and personal interviewing. Mail questionnaires can be used to collect large amounts of information at a low cost per respondent. Respondents may give more honest answers to more personal questions on a mail questionnaires than to an unknown interviewer in person or over the phone. Also, no interviewer is involved to bias respondents' answers. However, mail questionnaires are not very flexible. All respondents answer the same questions in a fixed order. Mail surveys usually take longer to complete, and the response rate, the number of people returning completed questionnaires, is often very low. Finally, the researcher often has little control over the mail questionnaire sample. Even with a good mailing list, it is hard to control whom at a particular address fills out the questionnaire. As a result of the shortcomings, more and more marketeers are now shifting to faster, more flexible, and lower cost email and online surveys. Telephone interviewing is one of the best methods for gathering information quickly, and it provides greater flexibility than mail questionnaires. Interviewers can explain difficult questions, and depending on the answers they receive, skip some questions or probe on others. Response rates tends to be higher than with mail questionnaires, and interviewers can ask to speak to respondents with the desired characteristics or even by name. However, with telephone interviewing, the cost per respondent is higher than with mail or online questionnaires. Also, people may not want to discuss personal questions with an interviewer. The method introduces interviewer bias, the way interviewers talk, how they ask questions, and other differences that may affect respondents' answers. Finally, in this age of do not call lists and promotion harassed consumers, potential survey respondents are increasingly hanging up on telephone interviewers rather than talking with them. Personal interviewing takes two forms: individual interviewing and group interviewing. Individual interviewing involves talking with people in their homes or offices, on the streets, or in shopping malls. Such interviewing is flexible. Trained interviewers can guide interviews, explain difficult questions, and explore issues as the situation requires. They can show subjects actual products, advertisements, or packages and observe reactions and behavior. However, individual personal interviews may cost 3 to 4 times as much as telephone interviews. Group interviewing consists of inviting 6 to 10 people to meet with a trained moderator to talk about a product, service, or organization. Participants normally are paid a small sum for attending. The moderator encourages free and easy discussion, hoping that group interactions will bring out actual feelings and thoughts. At the same time, the moderator focuses the discussion, hence the name focus group interviewing. Researchers and marketeers watch the focus group discussions from behind one-way glass and record comments in writing or on video for later study. Today, focus group researchers can even use video conferencing and internet technology to connect marketeers in distant locations with live focus group action. Using cameras and two-way sound systems, Marketing executives in a far-off boardroom can look in and listen using remote controls to zoom in on faces and pan the focus group at will. Along with observational research, focus group interviewing has become one of the major qualitative marketing research tools for gaining fresh insights into consumer thoughts and feelings. However, focus group studies present some challenges. They usually employ small samples to keep time and cost down. It may be hard to generalize from the results. Moreover, consumers in focus groups are not always open and honest about their real feelings, behavior, and intentions in front of other people. Thus, although focus groups are still widely used, many researchers are tinkering with focus group design. For example, some companies prefer immersion groups, small groups of consumers who interact directly and informally with product designers without a focus group moderator present. Still, other researchers are changing the environments in which they conduct focus groups. Thus, in recent years, many companies have been moving away from traditional, more formal and numbers-oriented research approaches and contact methods. Instead, they are employing more new ways of listening to consumers that don't involve traditional questionnaire formats. I believe the video is becoming very lengthier, so I will have to split it in maybe 2 parts.
So that's it for today. I hope this video was helpful to you. See you guys in another informative and exciting video soon. Please do not forget to leave your valued comments and suggestions below. Once again, thanks for watching the basics of marketing.